Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Last episode we covered the fuel system on the car. We got that all working. Car's been running, it's been working good. No like fuel pressure drop or anything like that. I put the gauge on it and kind of test drove it once or twice. You can see now I got the car back at home, so I did drive it home. Ran into a little bit of trouble on the way, but I'm going to cover that in the next video. I'll go over that later. In this video, we're going to cover the air intake system, kind of the cold air intake. Everything from the turbo flange to the air filter. One thing I'm not going to include in this video is putting the mass airflow sensor in. I'm going to run without one for now, and then later on I'm going to probably add it in because there's quite a few benefits to running the mass airflow sensor. But I'll cover that later on. That'll just be a short video tacked on with something else. This video is kind of a bit of a rewind. This really should have been included with the intercooler piping video, but I didn't have the flange at the time, and there's some other things that needed to be done before I could finish this off and have it routed the way I wanted to route it. But anyways, so we're going to cover everything from the turbo flange to the air filter. Let's get started on that. The Duramax Turbo's inlet flange at the outermost diameter measures about 4 3/8 inches. I ended up finding this here 90-degree pipe on the buy sell. It's a 3.75 V-band flange, and it fits right onto the front of the turbo. It actually pretty well fit right on there, really nice, and then I was able to start building off of it. I got some other pipes that I lined up, and just going to cut some small sections here to kind of get the curve right and get it routed properly so it looks good. And then as you can see, I got 3-inch to 4-inch adapter on the end for the air filter I'm using. So the rest of the pipe is 3-inch coming off the turbo, and then goes to 4-inch right at the air filter. Once I got everything lined up how I want it, I'll get some old coverall shoved in here so I can tack it together. You can see right here on the top I have actually just a band clamp that's tying those two pipes together, keeps them flush together, and then also it's a good place to put your ground clamp for the welder. I'll do a few tacks on each of the seams, maybe 3 to keep them in place, and then if I'm happy with it and everything looks good, we'll pull the pipe off and fully weld it off the car. With the 2 lower seams welded, I'll just loosen off this band clamp, and then I'll slide it down a little bit so I still have a place for my ground clamp. Then I can go ahead and weld that last seam, or tack that last seam together, and reposition the coveralls here so I don't burn anything up. And with that welded, then we will pull the pipe off the car and finish weld it on the ground. Alright, with it all tacked together, you're going to want to make sure you take everything off there and take a step back and just have a look at it, make sure you're happy with the way it's routed. I think this looks good. It kind of slopes over the engine there and follows the contour of the other pipe, you know. So now that I'm happy with it, we're going to remove it off the car. We'll fully weld it on the ground, and then we'll clean up all the welds and get it ready for paint. And then there's also that bung down at the bottom. We're just going to cut that off and move it to a different spot for the crankcase vent. And with the welding all finished up, we'll move on to relocating this bung. This bung is just pipe thread, and it just needs to give us a hose barb to 3/4 hose for the crankcase filter. So I put the pipe back on the car and marked where this hole needed to be so that it could have good routing of the hose. And then we're just going to cut this off, and then we will get it into the new place and weld it up.
And once the bung's welded, then we're going to need to fill in that other hole where the bung was. I just used a washer, that was about the right size here, and then just filled in the middle of the washer with weld. Ground it all smooth and kind of tapped it to keep it relatively level. And then we're just going to go ahead after and clean it up, and it'll be done. And while I've got the grinder out, I might as well go ahead and start cleaning up all the rest of the welds. So I just use a fairly abrasive grinding disc for this, just to get the welds kind of ground down and close to smooth. And then once they're close to the same as the pipe, then I'll come after and clean it up with a flap wheel. And that gets it pretty smooth. The flap wheel will actually cut into the metal, and it will leave some deeper grooves that are not cosmetically really great looking. So after that, then I'm usually going to go hit it with the D8 or the orbital sander, some 80 grit sandpaper, and for something like this, it actually turn out pretty good and look pretty smooth with a good coats of paint on it, some primer and some paint afterwards. And just about finished up with the flap wheel here. You can see it's starting to look like, kind of all one nice uniform piece of pipe. And just go ahead with the DA and get it all kind of roughed up with 80 grit sandpaper, and that'll kind of prep it for paint. That'll be the last step I do before paint. Then I'm going to clean up the pipe. I use some Duplicolor wax and grease remover. I've had really good luck with this stuff. It works really great. And then I'm just going to go ahead and prime it and paint it. I'm going to go for gloss black like the rest of the pipes. And I'm going to be using some Rust-Oleum primer and some Rust-Oleum gloss black. 3 coats of primer, 3 coats of black. And that's pretty much going to be it. That'll get her looking good. And here it is all said and done. He even got a Z sticker made to put on the pipe to kind of finish it off, get it looking real good. And you can see that blue hose for the crankcase filter, and used a brass fitting in there. It actually fills out the engine bay really good and turned out really nice.
Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. It's installed. I even got a sticker on it. It's looking good with that sticker. The next video we're going to cover basically kind of the drive home. I did run into some trouble there, like I mentioned earlier, and there were some tuning issues. And then also the next video is basically going to be wiring, tuning. I'm going to try to cover everything best I can as far as decoding the wiring diagrams and which operating systems I used in the TCM and the ECM, and any of the problems I come across along the way, because boy, there was a lot of problems getting everything to work good. And pretty much everything is functional at this point. There's a few things left to get going, but it does start and run like a factory car. Immobilizer, all that kind of stuff is going to be covered in the next video. I'm sure there's more that I just can't think of. But yeah, we're getting really close to taking this thing out and doing some burnouts. So I just want to say thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be great too. That really helps out. Eventually I want to take this car racing. There's in Saskatoon at the SIR Raceway. They have a diesel weekend every summer, and I'd really like to get there this summer with this car and see what it can do and see what I can break. And then we'll make some improvements and, keep building it up from there and get a good, street strip car out of this thing. That's kind of the whole purpose of it, to get good fuel mileage, to be able to drive it, air conditioning, and be able to race it. It should be the complete package. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share it if you want to share it. You got any questions, comments, leave them in the comments section. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.